if they were to drop to third place and not have a first round bye, they still consider themselves contenders.
Yep, and Immortals certainly looking good. I mean, didn't want to be in the situation they were in, but did more than the best they could, given the circumstances. Pobelter in particular having an incredible Cassio game. We'll see what changes here in Champ Select. Now banned again by Immortals. Kind of interesting to see that banned on both sides here. Shen's going to join him, so Flame clearly respecting the power of that champion after playing it in game one, and Zach is the first standard ban there for TL, but Caitlyn's going to join. It's still a champion that a lot of people don't want to give away.
Yeah, it just feels like people are banning Gnar now because there isn't something that you can really play into it that you want to when you're playing these tank comps. If you're trying to play towards Pobelter and Cody Sun and not so much towards Flame, and it's a kind of something they don't want Lourlo to have because he has historically had a pretty good Gnar. It's definitely been one of his better champions where he has had those 4 to 5 man Gnar ultimates and he's been quite impressive. It would also help them team fight. They're trying to stop Lourlo from having that team fight impact and pull him away. The Shen helped them do that as well.
Certainly did, as Elise and Thresh being the last bans means I have to think Maokai or Cho'Gath, as that's the selection, is the pick there for Immortals. So very interesting to see that priority there for IMT. Most people would put Maokai as the best champ. Most first pickable champion on this bet.
And Cho'Gath was not picked or banned last game. So it's actually a priority out of left field. And now TL, you kind of take what you want here, whatever it is. I feel like Maokai should be one of the champions you take. Yes. And then you move on and say, all right, what do we want here? Before, they had gone for something like a Kalista. Is that another thing they want? They're going to go for the Jarvan here. Double flex pick. You can put the Jarvan wherever you want. Put the Maokai wherever you want between the top and the jungle. So this is actually pretty damn good by Team Liquid.
Smart stuff, and also taking away the jungle that Xmithie has played a number of games in a row with. So he's going to have to change it up. And he's like, oh, I like this Gragas champion.
Yeah, it's a,
maybe we'll take this one.
Have I played 12 games of Gragas and only lost, I believe, one of them?
Don't do math. Don't do math on air.
Oh no, I did it.
All right, Gragas interest to the fix there for Immortals.
You're right, it was 2.
Get a double check in on Xmithie's Gragas win. It's still very impressive, sitting well above 80%. Let's see what TL do want to answer with here.
Yeah, he's lost twice. Oh well, 10-2. It's quite the record, but his most played.
It's pretty, yeah, I don't know. Underwhelming. It's good. Oh. GoldenGlue going to take Taliyah away here. Kind of blocks the Orianna pick, and this is one of the picks he wanted access to last game and did not get, as Immortals really did target him in the second phase of ban, so going to take that and start protecting it, and I think that's a smart one. Just make sure that Cassio stays out of Pobelter's hands.
You got to ban Cassiopeia. Looks like you might have to ban Orianna as well. Syndra's still on table. Newsflash, LeBlanc is also up. This patch. There's so much that's left up because everybody's just banning all these things in the first phase, where Gnar Shen weren't really seen in bans at all previously. The Thresh has jumped up to whatever side really doesn't want it to be first pick. But then like Maokai gets through. We're living in a world where there are like 10 OPs right now. And people are just like, oh, this one's really good. Let me just take that up. And now we're sitting at the second phase right now where Syndra and LeBlanc are both up. And there's the Corki. So Orianna also on the table. So I feel like Pobelter just doesn't get to play Cassiopeia or Corki into the Taliyah. And I don't feel like that's too much of a damper.
Should be okay. As there's Blitzcrank banned by IMT, so that's a lot of respect given over to that champion, actually. Callisto's the other one, as Piglet with a big grin on his face, gonna flash us the famous vein. At some point, I'm kind of expecting him to snap and just pick it for himself, but
he did Rammus once, he'll do Vayne.
That's true.
Don't test Piglet.
Definitely do not test Piglet. Kha'Zix maybe? No.
Sivir.
Rolling around. He's gonna be Sivir.
Yep.
You can see breathing a big sigh of relief. Oh, great, good. Did pick the right champion.
Yeah,
he's just having some fun.
Typed in really fast there after he went away. But yes, it was expecting the Sivir there to pair with the Maokai and the Jarvan and kind of get the team in. The interesting thing is you could play maybe even like, you could play something into it if you wanted in terms of like, I think there's some counters like Caitlyn, it's banned away, but they already have the Tristana, and there's the Syndra, that's fine. But now we're waiting on support pick for Olleh, and he's got just such a wide champion pool, and if they want to dominate lane, then yeah, the Karma would be the one to go for. It's his, I believe, 3rd most played right now behind Thresh and Bard, but Bard's still on the table, and it looks like there's a lot of discussion here on what they'll be picking or how they're going to play it. A lot of reasoning.
Again, with all this, you know, big playmaking champions, looks at the crowd chanting Bard, and that's what they're going to get! But is secured there for Immortals.
It was the crowd. That was the one that finally kicked in. The Bard there, so playmaking potential here for Olleh. No, recently it hit #1 in solo queue as a support. Dropped down a little bit, but fun fact as well, the sub support Stunt for Immortals is also holding up a lot of those top 10 spots as a support. I believe he's got like 3 to 4 accounts in like top 20 challenger. So there's a lot of just learning from each other in terms of the supports there.
Yep, and Matt is going to be pushed all the way down to Karma. So again, kind of interesting to see Lourlo, Karma maybe push their way back into the meta again. We've seen a decent amount of Janna, but maybe a pick that not every team is happy to really pick just yet. And we've even seen something as extreme as like an Alistar, you know, really going all in on the team fighting and playmaking and having almost no lane presence. Certainly much better laning supports here for both the two, and I think Olleh will be happy in particular with the matchup against Sivir, going to try and punish Piglet, who is a bit shorter range than some of the other ADs. So an interesting bot lane, but I think overall, again, Liquid have a really good team combo to try and play with. Immortals comp, on the other hand, just kind of strikes me as a bunch of solid champions. I think especially in the top half of the map, it's going to look to try and snowball some of these lanes.
Yeah, I feel like you want to gank that Cho'Gath. You want to gank Flame really early and often. Just play the Maokai into it. You can just point and click root. DArdoch should be going towards the top side where they have a lot of gank assistance. And get that duo off the ground of, you know, the DArdoch plus, I mean, he had the DArdoch Darshan combo. That's gone. It's now back to the old romance. Sometimes you just got to go back to him, man. And
I think DArdoch's aggression kind of cost him in a few spots there in game 1, but certainly a player that is will trend towards some level 2 ganks. You saw a lot of that from Xmithie last week when he played Jarvan, so I'm expecting DArdoch to get a little frisky here in the early stages of the game, but we'll have to see. We're going to move out onto Summoner's Rift for the second time in this series. Immortals looking to sweep it out. Not the smoothest of game 1, so perhaps the ride will be a little less rocky for them. And TL on the other side thinking, hey, we made it close. Let's just push it a little bit further in our direction. Everyone's just going to move out onto Summoner's Rift. You can hear
back and forth. I was
just listening for the chance. Was very back and forth. Everyone's very excited for Friday, which is a pleasure.
It's the start of the weekend. It's the start of the LCS. Who's not excited?
It's the middle of my week, Zirene, all right? Don't give me that.
Monday, Tuesday weekend, what?
It's a good weekend. It's been a weekend for like more than 10 years, I think, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to work in retail.
Oh, wow.
And cafes, so you're kind of just used to working over the weekend anyway. So a natural fit for me, clearly, was well, transitioning into when people, commentating video games.
Exactly. But the way I like to look at it is you are other people's weekend, right? You're the entertainment. You're the enjoyment. So I would go to a place that you were working just to see your face.
Well, you're right here now, so thank you for
that's right. I didn't have a choice.
That's true. You did not make this assignment. It was thrust upon you unwillingly. I apologize for nothing.
I'm okay with this, though.
TL. He's kind of fanning out. IMT doing the same. It looks like no deep vision really been placed here, so level 1's going to be about as normal as expected, but some of the surprise factors worn off, I'm sorry to say. Not as many super leashes, although as I say that, Olleh and Cody going to line that up. Did not see this from TL on their blue side, so a couple saplings helping out instead. But GoldenGlue is going to help DArdoch here. Yep. He starts on the Raptors, and there are 2 saplings in the red brush as well.
Yeah, and yep, like you said, 2 saplings. Just trying to make sure it wasn't a ward, but they put a ward from Mortal's side inside the red pit, so they see DArdoch right now as he starts up his red buff. Full knowledge of exactly what his route is at the beginning of the game.
I think Xmithie did not start the small Raptors.
No, he didn't.
So some help, but not a massive amount of help that we have seen.
It was a red buff right into just doing the Raptors, and a full clear of the Raptors as well.
Well, DArdoch on the top side now clearing his Krug, so nothing crazy just yet.
Might be a level 3 gank top side from DArdoch. Yep. He's going for it right now. This is going to be the super early timing 230 gank from him. He wants to gank the Cho'Gath. We'll see what Lourlo's at right now. Will he have the W? He's got E level 1 because of saplings, and he's going for W. He just used it, though.
Oh, no. Maybe a little early on that play. Sapling is going to slow down Flame, but Flame's actually trying to get aggressive. DArdoch, though, finally here. Probably going to force a flash. Flame backwards towards the team, and that's first blood, Lourlo.
Even Flame scratched his head there. You know that's coming. It was called as soon as the Maokai Jarvan knew that it was a top lane Cho'Gath. You knew the side of the jungle that he started on. Have to respect that. And the fact that Lourlo used the W there early, super early, even before DArdoch was in his lane, that felt like, you know, it's a gank you can get away from his flame. Yeah, like right here, DArdoch actually hits the bush, and then Lourlo's like, I'm two, I'm going. And he goes in, and then there's no EQ follow-up there. So Flame's like, what are you doing? And isn't any wiser to the gank there. But then this right here, yeah, you flashed. Ooh.
He just flashed the wrong way.
Yeah.
A rare mistake.
He just that's the difference in the play.
Yeah, a rare mistake from Flame. But a mistake nonetheless. We'll TP back to lane, get those CS. Lourlo is going to stay sitting on just his Jorans, and we've got Flame. Only got a rejuvenation beat and some consumables.
I was about to say.
Not a huge start to the top lane.
Yeah, it's kind of, when you have to buy a rejuvenation bead, it feels awful. You're hoping it goes into your first item, and you're just going towards the righteous glory.
I've certainly seen, I think, a lot of this in the Cho'Gath games we've seen top lane in the NA LCS. Just seems like a champion that, while very, very good, 1v1, really easy to exploit in a lot of ways. TL already off to a good start with that aggressive Jarvan gank. We'll see how Flame controls the rest of this lane. Again, Lourlo hadn't spent his gold yet that he got from First Blood, so not going to have that advantage manifest just yet, but Xmithie actually up towards that top. He's going to get spotted by the saplings, and Lourlo just going to walk away.
Yeah, it actually doesn't really give you as much vision as you would hope.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Thought a turret hit was going, but
I thought it was another one
tanked
there.
it. Playing with a nice knock up though, but he's already quite low as DArdoch path back towards that top lane. Xmithie looking to cover, but DArdoch on top of a ward, actually lining up a potential turret dive here. Puts down a controller and is sitting in that brush. Lourlo, I think he's going to TP back and try something, but Xmithie has spotted him, so he is sitting underneath, ready for this counter gank.
Well, they know there's no flash on the top laner. Lourlo does have the point and click. If they play this right, they still may be able to outplay it. Good bottom though, outplay.
Actually, the W's there. Looks like dive in the top lane is happening as well. The knock Xmithie at the very last second. Gonna try and turn it around. DArdoch though was not taking the turret as Matt has taken the portal through. Looks like a roam down from GoldenGlue. He's gonna seal Cody Sun's fate. Piglet, he's low, but he's gonna be able to get away. It's just Olleh and he doesn't have Ignite. Still the top lane play continues. DArdoch waiting, trying to bait this out.
Sometimes you go back to him and you just can't leave him again. He's just hanging out in that top lane. Both junglers are just making sure their top laner's safe. DArdoch?
Yeah, he's chilling out in the brush. Xmithie still hasn't walked in, and now he's going to get slowed by the W. Throws a cast back. Flame still has to play so safe here. And DArdoch again, just back in a brush. Maybe Flame messes up. DArdoch going to stay again.
They're reading each other to try to go for it.
The EQ, but Xmithie back in again. A lot of mind games here at the top side, but Lourlo's got enough health. The Q actually takes down Flame.
The base damage on Maokai's Bramble Smash is so high, he wasn't expecting that. You max it first, of course. Helps with the wave clear, but also just helps you bonk some people. That was ridiculous.
Xmithie's like, well, I guess I clean up these waves then.
Yep. I mean, he was waiting there for so long. Like, almost all of Xmithie's small camps are up right now. Like, there's other things he could be doing, but he's just kind of making sure that both junglers are crippled in the early game in terms of their level compared to everybody. And Piglet, actually a great spell shield there. I think he absorbed possibly two things at the same time. That was interesting how that worked. But GoldenGlue is going to walk up, get Cody Sun, and put the finishing touches there.
Yep, nice roam there from the mid lane. TL able to equalize that 2v2 that started in the bot lane, and all of a sudden 3 kills to nothing and 1,000 gold ahead. Team Liquid. Good early game here.
And his bottom lane was quite interesting because Matt decided to go for the Ancient Coin because it's just so powerful right now in terms of the gold generation, as opposed to the Spell Thief, which would have given him a little more poke and harass, which is what you usually think people pick Karma for. But he doesn't have Thunderlords. He's got the Wind Speakers. He's maxing Q first, I believe, here. He's got 2 points in it early from what I had seen back when he was level 4. Check again. Still level 4, of course. Game hasn't progressed that much.
Not yet, but TL still happy with the pace of play. Xmithie now on the bottom side of the map, so might have a visit down here to this lane, but still have to kind of abandon top lane at this point. Lourlo has 2 Dorans, some good tank components, and is 2 kills ahead of Flame. So only got an early Negatron Cloak. Another good spell shield there from Piglet. Is going to protect him from the Bard Q.
Yeah, a lot of people have been ditching the Cho'Gath top in favor of the Maokai top because they just think it's a bit of a stronger tank, but also at the same time, it's just way more reliable to gank for, and the Cho'Gath is kind of you can't get past him as easily. He's not much of an engage. He's kind of like long-range pick. But you're hoping that he can, like, that people are going to try to dive past him. But he's so easy to gank. He's kind of just free walking gold at that point.
Does feel like a really big melee minion sometimes.
Yeah, oh, my favorite type as well. It's like 300 gold. I will.
A promoted melee minion. As Flame, again, just chilling out. GoldenGlue back to his old tricks in the bottom lane. Looks like he's having just a fine time against Pobelter. As TL with 4 people down here in this lane, going to try and shove down the turret perhaps. Not too many creeps left. And that wave is a long way away, but going to get good damage here. DArdoch and the red buff helping out. And Cody just has to kind of force them off as safely as possible. GoldenGlue returning back to mid lane there. As Pobelter push that lane back towards his turret.
And this Syndra pick is a little bit scary. Whenever I see a Syndra in a game, there's always that thought. If she starts getting any kills in this early game, even in the mid game, Syndra could be shut down. She just scales incredibly well. And she has that assassination potential. So you always have to be very conscious of what's going on around that lane. You make one mistake, she gets to punish the entire game for it.
Yep, obviously a decent match there for Pobelter. Up a good amount of CS, actually 10, although GoldenGlue is catching up now that wave is there. But I think saying, you know what, last time Piglet, he was kind of the big problem in that last game. So let's make sure we have some extra skills to throw into Sivir spell shield.
Yeah, and now you can see DArdoch goes bottom because this turret is so low. He's giving cover, expecting a gank from Xmithie here because he wants to relieve pressure. But Cody Sun has all his summoner spells. Olleh is actually going for a bit of a roam for Chimes, Chime duty.
Uh-oh.
And maybe a flank. I don't know.
DArdoch being very patient here.
Yeah.
Oh. Goes in, actually gets the knockup. That should be enough damage. Hop out of the way. The ultimate of DArdoch under the tree is Cody able to flash out from under it. I think just a bit too early there.
That was DArdoch put it while it was still in range, and it does damage in the area. So pointing and clicking on somebody as they flash sometimes doesn't deal the damage. And go for the execute there. We'll see it again, I assume.
Well, Cody has no sums left, so
yeah,
still pretty vulnerable.
Not do it again.
Yeah, not a failed gank by DArdoch by any means. Good patience waiting down, but not rewarded with the kill, unfortunately for him. That Pobelter's getting that push back in, but GoldenGlue can leave it almost a moment's notice. And we return to the Flame and Lourlo show where we had so much attention last time. Flame actually might get a solo kill here, but Lourlo with enough health to not get feasted. Flame going to try and cancel it back, though, I think.
Go all the way back.
All right, Lourlo's like, yeah, I'll back in a safe spot. Smart stuff there.
Yeah, if they start their recall and they're a little bit greedy with it and not completely safe, you wait a few seconds, look like you're clearing the wave, walk over there, and if they went for the greedy recall, you just waste 7+ more seconds.
Spectre's Cal now for Lourlo, so going to feel safer in that 1v1. Xmithie sneaking into this bottom brush. Yeah. No one here to gank just yet. DArdoch and Matt are actually on an adventure. Going to take down that Scuttle Crab on the right side river and invade the jungle for some vision. Matt with the Sightstone now completed, and the tracker's knife there for DArdoch. So TL going to take full control of this bot half of the map. And the blast cone over as well. Matt's not standing in the exact right spot to go over that wall, but...
Oh, saving it, but here's DArdoch.
Yeah, Olleh actually onto the turret. Tried to disable it to save for a little while longer, but TL want the kills instead. DArdoch goes forward, but Xmithie finally here. That's going to force him away. Flame, he's going to come down, but Lourlo a little late. He's going to try and answer DArdoch. I think he's going to get eaten. Flash forward there. Feast is coming. There's Flame with the kill. Exhaust burnt by Matt as well, but Olleh is looking to get low and does go down. Lourlo arrives and burns it also in his Pobelter. Ultis on a Matt and kills him. GoldenGlue now forced to flash as Cody leaps forward, looks for Lourlo, but a little too tanky. Still Immortals up, 2 kills to 1.
Yep, 2 for 1 at the end of that, and that was a TP that was much earlier from Flame. Just started it right on track, and honestly, that was kind of the difference there in my mind, is that this Maokai has a lot of the kills. Hold on, though.
Oh, GoldenGlue might get chain stunned here. Thunderlord's going to proc for the Syndra. Pobelter gets the last few orbs. Auto's there, and that's good. Pobelter grabs his second kill.
Yep, Pobelter walks forward instead of backward. It's kind of the direction that you don't expect the person to go as the Taliyah player. Usually, people's instinct will be good to go to safety or where safety is. And that's usually backwards, but forward is the right way to go. Outplays.
And you said it before, but Syndra, you know, snowballing can really cause problems in the mid game. Well, Pobelter had a pretty quiet lane, but with a little CS lead and now 2 kills. Yeah. Look to maybe take over if you can snowball just a little bit further.
Yeah, my favorite part of that play that happened on the bottom side of the map is GoldenGlue rode the wall in and it walled off Pobelter. He stands there for a few seconds and he goes, nah, screw this, and he flashes over to kill Matt. So he actually sits there, contemplates his life for a little bit. We'll see it here in a few seconds, but DArdoch just kind of over chases here. Normally it's like, don't take the Bard portal. You're getting first turret on the bottom side of the map. Just hit the turret, be in a safer spot. Because he overextended, his EQ is down, has no more escapes. Flame came in earlier, and then he's able to flash after and get a kill back. And then Pobelter's like, okay, yeah, goes in, hits Matt, actually misses a few abilities, and then just presses the R, and that's going to be what kills the Karma there. So the Syndra now, after picking up GoldenGlue, after that, is now at 2 kills, and in a very good spot.
You can see, again, all the damage that was done. It's actually Flame and Maokai, strangely, that claim almost top honors the damage done in that fight.
These numbers are so small. I'm like, everybody did like 500 to 1,000 damage. I'm used to like those 6,000, like 3,000 ones.
He's getting that. Oh, DArdoch leaps in onto Pobelter, but gonna get stunned out. Needs a little bit more. Q is good. Pobelter has just found his 3rd kill.
Yeah, you mess up once. You try to get something back, do damage control, and that's exactly what happens. So Pobelter now at 3-0. A little bit of a help from Olleh there with the roam.
I feel like DArdoch's maybe the one helping. Very over-aggressive in that play.
And you're bringing back those dead J4 memes. Actually, you know what? They're always still alive. Just barely, though.
Olleh actually kind of sweeping back behind this turret.
Yeah, that's TL's turret.
That's a 1v2 proxy.
Yeah, it's the threat. It's the threat of the Syndra and the Gragas, who are actually kind of waiting for the possibility of the Taliyah coming over. And they were handing off the blue buff, I believe. So they're taking the blue buff away and making sure that just in case GoldenGlue came in, they had something waiting for him.
Pobelter does grab it. And looks like Olleh may be getting collapsed on, but should be okay as Pobelter with double buffs now should be even better positioned to really take over this matchup. Mid turret also pretty low for TL, sitting at about 50% health at this point.
And TL, I mean, we're seeing what it looks like when DArdoch's back on the roster and teaming up with Piglet and Matt. It was a very old combo where Matt and DArdoch were the shot callers from the old TLA squad that everybody was saying was so good back in Challenger. And you saw them go for an aggressive dive there, an aggressive play, where they could have just gotten that first turret. They could have accelerated the Sivir. They maybe would have been able to be in a position to rotate lanes, but it was the aggressive portal taking from DArdoch. And you're seeing how he kind of changes the early parts of the game for this team, for better or for worse.
Oh, ultimate's good there from Olleh on the GoldenGlue. Great W actually follows in, and the stun's good as well from Olleh. Cody cleans up a sitter. They're going to take the mid turret as well.
This might be a push for another turret afterwards, because they have 4 people here. They have a Tristana. I think they're going to keep pushing and trying to pull people to them so they get priority top and get this turret to like half HP.
Well, turret's getting low, but running out of wave there for IMT, so others pull back. Smite there from Xmithie takes down the Raptor, or the big one at least, as TL try and fight again, take some of their jungle back, but 1,000 gold up for IMT. Early game looked pretty good for TL when it all started off, but
it always does, Pastry.
Yeah, and that's the thing, look, I'm not blaming DArdoch for the way he plays, but he does play in a very particular way.
Whose fault is it?
I mean, it's DArdoch. That's what he likes to play, right? But I mean, you mentioned the old TLA. He looked amazing because he was so aggressive.
Yeah, the team also played around him a lot, right? They actually kind of catered to his needs and what he wanted in the jungle all the time. But because of the meta shifting over time in terms of carries, you know, the jungle doesn't just have as like insane amounts of gold as it did before. Kind of had to shift some things around. And we're talking like 2 years plus though at this point, where that's when DArdoch was getting those pentakills on Rek'Sai and whatnot.
And again, that's the thing. When you play aggressive and it works out, you look amazing. When you play aggressive and it doesn't work out, you look kind of silly. That's just kind of the nature of the style he's chosen to play. And I think for TL, they do need to try and get aggressive, especially in this sort of matchup. But Immortals is kind of wresting control back of this game. And this is a team that can be very decisive while also being very methodical. Flame 1v2 gets rooted up there by Lourlo. He's going to knock him back towards him. Help is on the way, though. Flame just needs to live for a little while longer. Root is there. Lourlo going to bramble out of the way. Pobelter commits his ultimate, gets the stun down as well. And there's another slow, just laying damage into Lourlo, who's got a Spirit Visage, so he's taking a while to go down. W's up to a minion, and he'll be out scot-free. But Flame also saved. Immortals with a nice response.
Yeah, way more summoner spells, though, used by TL. They used 3 for just the 2 of Immortals. We'll see if that ends up making any difference there, because GoldenGlue had to blow both, and he's up against Pobelter, who has those 3 kills, who has the 2 penetration items now, and has his flash still available for a potential burst combo later. And he's 2 levels up. I'll just keep going through the checklist.
I mean, yeah, Pobelter is certainly poised to take over this game, but he's within touching distance here for Team Liquid. I think maybe the bigger map worries, some of these turrets are starting to get threatened. Cody, again, relatively early Infinity Edge, so he can really threaten. And he has his Q up and try and take down those turrets. TL actually swapping Joy to the top lane for now. So with only 1 turret apiece, there's still plenty to take off the map. TL did lose their mid turret though, so slightly more problems as far as overall geography, but shouldn't cause too many issues as Pobelter returning to this lane, and that second item is very close to completion. In fact, this is kind of the first point for Syndra where you really start opening up the game. 2 penetration items and your first major item in this case, Morello Nomicon. Leander's will just be a sweetener once he finishes it.
Yo, and the sweetener is oh so good. The sweetener sometimes just makes the whole thing. Like, having that Leandry's means not only are you dealing a lot of damage to the squishies, it's also those tanky members. So the Syndra becomes very potent even in team fights.
I love this setup though for TL. Great flash knock on Pobelter. Barely time as Zirene to react. There's a kill.
That was my favorite J4 play, because it's not always useful, but DArdoch made it useful there. That was the everybody jumping out, but it was the flag and drag into flash. It's the same kind of interaction as body slam flash. So J4 was in a state of knocking up whoever's next to him, and he flashes to extend that range. You don't get the damage though, because you're not hitting him with the Q. But he played that really fast.
Yeah.
That was very bursty, and that's what you're looking for TL, because they have that Sivir ulti to get people into.
Not needed in that iteration. 4 members of Team Liquid there to make sure Pobelter goes down, and good amount of shutdown gold gifted over to, I believe, GoldenGlue actually, as goodbye Rift Herald.
Yeah, just
Hello Baron.
barely. Yeah, but they're not going to do that, are they? Let's see here. Everything. Wow! Yep, goes in, gets the smack on him afterwards, but that's the EQ into flash. So if Jarvan's give you less time to react, because they knew that Pobelter had his own flash still.
Well, it looks like Matt has invested wisely. He was actually the one that got the shutdown kill, as an Ardent Sensor actually finished before his Ice Stone.
Yeah, he got the kill, but remember, shutdown gold is global for your team.
I did not know that. Today
Really?
I won.
You did not know that? That was a change a while back. Instead of giving all the gold to a single person, shutdown gold is now divided across your entire team.
Well, even better for TL. They look to still play catch-up for a little while longer. 1,500 gold behind, because the Immortals did take the top lane out of turret. Tristana's siege mode starting to come online here in the game. Team Liquid still just kind of roaming together as a pack. Just trying to gank some people at this point. I think DArdoch's a little grumpy.
Well, they have Sivir, and they have this Karma that has Ardent Sensor, Wind Speakers. He's just looking to press R, press E, and check it again. There we go. He only put 2 points into Inner Flame into his Q. So he has 5 points in his Inspire. This Karma is that ward, or the shield bomb, right? It's trying to make everybody kind of be warded from damage. It's not the most fun way to play Karma, but if you enjoy
winning,
win for you.
But it might be good there. Lourlo using that ulti. Flame going to speed up towards him. Needs a little bit more, I think. Good dodge of the knock-up there for Lourlo, but he's in feast range. Flame trying to line it up. Oh, nom. There's the shutdown.
Oh, Olleh giving him the little boost as well. Auto attacks for the slow, gives the package for the movement speed boost, and Flame gets the walk up and finish it off.
Abyssal Mask second there for Flame as well. I like what I'm seeing so far. TL with a nice play on the other side of the map. Able to take a turret for themselves, but it will be answered here by Flame after getting that kill with a bit of help from Olleh.
I mean, Flame started the game 0-2. He got ganked very early on, and multiple times as well. And now he's got 2 kills off of Feast. He's at 8 Feast stacks already, maxed out on what he can get from monsters. So he'll have to look for objectives. Some champions to also continue.
Yes, they
growing.
do count as objectives.
Yes, they do.
For the purposes of Feast stacks. There's Cody, again, just back in the side lane. Not the safest place, but kind of knew where everyone else was, so just taking whatever farm he can get.
Yeah, I was just mousing over items, because we've added things like Knight's Vow, damage received, damage healed, but I didn't know that Righteous Glory now has Shockwave takedowns on it. So people who are slowed by your Shockwave and die get added to the Righteous Glory count? That's interesting.
I like it. I like it a lot, actually.
Give me more information. Tell me how much damage Static Shift has done. Quick! Add things to the game, please. How much healing's been negated by Executioner's Calling? I've got to know.
A lot.
Got to know everything.
Well, Flame and Xmithie going to team up for a Drake. Don't see this that often, although I guess we had a pretty dramatic few steals as Flame nom the dragon. I believe you get a stack off that
Yes,
as
you
well.
do. Yes, you do. It's non-epic monsters is up to 6, and then after that, you have to get champions. You have to go for Baron, Rift Herald, dragons. They all count. The epic monsters all count. So he's at 9 right now. And he's doing 8.5% of the enemy's max HP with his E, and that's each E. So do math on stream. Page
Nope.
8.5
I'm
times
going
3.
to again. Oh, good.
25.5, don't worry.
100% asking the wrong person. There you go. As Flame kind of slowly taking over, feels like half the map at this point. Immortals roaming the rest of them through, and Pobelter's almost at that Void Staff point. Saw Lourlo earlier take a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, what happened was you got that Maokai up top fed, and then he TP'd in late, didn't get to kind of push it his advantage. You let up on Flame, and then what happened was the middle of the map lost. Pobelter got some kills, he got off the ground, and as DArdoch, you can't really go to the side lanes then too much because Pobelter has priority with wave clear, he has GoldenGlue kind of under turret with kill pressure, and then he'll have the inside track to roam wherever you make a play. So losing the middle of the map really sucks as a jungler. So it looked like what DArdoch's plan was to win top, then have that snowball to bottom. They almost got that turret, and then they could have put something like the Sivir mid to just keep wave clearing and keep pressure up. But the plan fell awry after Pobelter got some kills.
Yeah, and it feels like kind of the Immortals formula is staying true still here in a week 8. Looks like a gank thing coming. No, it's on a DArdoch there as Xmithie gets a slam. GoldenGlue trying to force them out of the way, but easy 2v4 defense actually. Syndra with a lot of good wave clear. Flame maybe making his way over, but he's going to get spotted as TL collapsed back to the right-hand side of the map. And for me, we kind of questioned at the very start of the draft, you know, why is Flame playing Cho'Gath over Maokai? Although we're going to have to answer that in a second. His ulti is very nice from Olleh. Finds two as DArdoch come out locked into stasis. Ult there from Xmithie, not quite enough for the rest of TL. Flash out of the way. Flame is going to get healed up a little bit, and Lourlo goes down to Pobelter. I don't know what hit him, but it hurt.
Everything. Pobelter threw the W. I was talking about how, you know, the sweetener sometimes just makes the whole thing. All of that extra penetration, Pobelter throws out, I believe it was a W, which now is maxed, so it has that extra bonus true damage to it, and the Q on top of it.
Well, that means Baron now for IMT. They've got their Smite, they've got their Feast, not on off cooldown, but might not need it. TL gonna book it over as fast as they can.
There was also a Feast in there too. Just going back, but yeah, they're gonna pick this up. 1,000, and there we go.
Yeah, DArdoch can't even get a look in, so nice Baron take there for Immortals. Starting to really take over this game, 5,000 gold ahead.
And this looks a little bit more like what you were expecting from the first place team. But yeah, what happened to Lourlo here was he got Feast at the exact same time that Syndra threw everything in there as well. It's gonna happen right here after he gets back, and well, why not? Bah! It's so much damage at the same time, and you got the blue buff on top of it.
I mean, talk about trying to kill tanks. Look at, you know, high DPS champions, maybe Trist, the Cassio we saw from Immortals in game 1. True damage, also pretty good at getting through big health bars.
Yeah.
Syndra and Cho'Gath with enough there to get through it. And again, Immortals just looking to take over. And kind of like I was saying before, like, I think Flame in so many ways is a player that, despite being pretty diverse in what he's willing to play, is always a player that wants to have a winning lane. And I think for me, he's like, I think Cho'Gath's better 1v1 than Maokai. Give me the Cho'Gath over the Maokai. It cost him early when he got camped, but now these in extended 1v1 or even 2v1 situations that his team has control of the map, this is exactly where Flame has always thrived.
Yeah, because Maokai doesn't have enough damage to kill you 1v1, and you have actually about the same or a little bit more sustain than Maokai. You also have mono sustain from the passive of Cho'Gath, so you just keep wave clearing over and over again, and you have more burst damage too. So the fact that they let up pressure on top side, like I feel like we were talking about it, the Cho'Gath is sometimes just that big melee minion. You just keep going back to that top lane and killing it, and they did it twice and they never did it again.
Now Flame's actually going to take a turret with the help of his Baron buff, forcing Lourlo away. IMT took mid, so now just one tier 2 turret left. And Cody Sun's already begun the assault. Going to take some turret aggro there. Xmithie going to find Piglet though. Piglet's going to fight back. Xmithie under the turret. Great spell shield. Going to avoid the slow from the Bard Q.
Yeah, he's been prioritizing that. I was looking at the previous one where I thought he kind of blocked two things at once. Only went for the Bard Q there. So he's been prioritizing the Olleh slow/stun.
Gonna be broken here though, I think. Cody needs a couple more shots, that's enough. And they break the top lane inhibitor turret. Inhibitor's still there, but portal out as DArdoch tries to find some sort of exit kill. And the pressure's not letting up. Still a minute 10 left on Baron for Immortals.
Yeah, and we're seeing the priority for that Tristana for Cody Sun, which was picked very early on for Immortals. First round for them in game 1, and then in game 2 was picked in the second round for them. Making sure Cody Sun has a champion that allows him to wave clear, be safe if they dive, self-peel, and then also just destroy these turrets. Helps them accelerate and have carried out.
And now TL they have to go. They're so far behind. Cody getting low there, but actually goes forward. Once Piglet needs the order, the crit! Does land, is able to get himself the kill, and he hops out from under Lourlo's W. It doesn't follow as Pobelter is also slaying GoldenGlue, and DArdoch dives so deep as he's caught completely out of position. Flame's gonna nom him down and grab yet another kill. And now Cody gonna leap forward, threaten onto Matt, and this should be game. Immortals gonna guide the last few minions towards the Nexus.
Yep, you can bring in DArdoch, you can come off a 2-0 week, but the #1 team in the North American LCS is unshaken by these changes.
He's gonna stay true. Lourlo knocked up there, knocked around. He's gonna fall. Looks like a GA might have popped there, but no, it doesn't even have it, so he just crumbles to the ground. Turrets are starting to fall. Baron's just about to war. IMT gonna finish the game in the length of their Baron buff, more or less. It seemed like a tight series at one point as IMT dive into the fountain. They grab the ace. They barely lose their jungler. But most importantly, they'll kill Piglet again as they try and take the Nexus. Or at least going to try a big stun there from Pobelter.
Leave them their KDAs. Just leave them their KDAs.
Trying very hard to pad it, but Flame with the last hit on the Nexus. Immortals 2-0 over TL.
The crowd saying it. IMT. The 2-0. First game wasn't that clean, but the second one, much cleaner from them. 29 minutes, 50 seconds on the clock with a 13,000 gold advantage. That snowball started, and it kept rolling downhill for TL. Immortals were able to kind of close this one out in the fashion that you would expect from a #1 team in the North American LCS.
Yep, looking a lot better there. And the second is the teams to exchange handshakes. A hug there from Cody, welcoming DArdoch back onto Team Liquid. They'll meet fans and family out there in the stands. Flame looks very happy. I mean, like, I didn't expect to get Cho'Gath. That was great.
3, 2, and 4, so it was a game that didn't have that incredible. And there it is. Papa Xmithie.
You can see all the love is kind of spread throughout the family into the rest of the team there. Again, Immortals looking, I think approaching unstoppable is how I'll put it. And the way in which they're doing it's the thing that's impressing me. Really gutsy macro calls and strong team play. And I think even just the comps they're picking for themselves, you can kind of put them in a formula. They're kind of playing a very particular way. And they're a team that kind of largely ignores the metagame in a lot of ways. Like, they'll play what they need to play if it's strong, but as long as it fits the style that they're trying to play. I even mentioned that Flame, he just wants to win his lane. If he has to play tanks, he'll do it. But give him the good tank. Give him the tank that wins lane.
Exactly. He actually did the most damage in the game. That's why he was smiling. We were on the case. We figured it out. Flame did the most damage in the game. Just a little bit more than Pobelter. 1,000 more. And so the Cho'Gath, he's like, I did damage. It felt good. I got to like bite people and feast to get all these stacks. So Flame, and like you said, the big thing here is that most of them are playing, like their champion pools are very top heavy.
Yes.
In terms of they're playing 1 or 2, 3, or maybe even 3 things. And then they aren't really diversifying too much, but you can tell behind the scenes that the team has practiced on a lot of different things, and it's not just, you know, the Thresh or Bard for Olleh, but these guys are getting these champions. They're getting at least 2 to 3 per game, and if it's up, you play it, and then everybody else kind of changes and shifts, and you kind of plug and play different champions. So stylistically, Immortals, you know, they don't really change too much game to game right now in terms of who's playing what and how they're playing it. And I think that that is a good formula for consistency for them. And we're seeing them at the top of the standings right now. And I talked to Azale on NA LCS tonight last week, where I was like, Immortals are #1. They've been #1 all split long. There's been teams that have come up and contested them. Like we've seen TSM, CLG, like go back and forth. And those are the 2 teams right below them in the standings. And in a lot of people's minds, they're like, all right, TSM, CLG, C9, they're going to surge again, you know, because they have that track record. What is it going to take for Immortals to be considered the #1 team And the answer to that is they have to win the whole thing. They aren't really considered that #1 until they win the whole thing. But right now, they keep moving towards that, and they're looking convincing right now.
Exactly. The best way to do that is to try and finish first in the standings. For a first-hand account on the series, though, let's hear from Dagon and the Immortals mid laner.
Hey, thank you very much. Great cast on the day, guys. I am joined by the young POB Pobelter. Now, Pobelter, talk to me here real quick. Team Liquid made a couple of last-minute roster changes. Did you guys have to prepare for any of the other guys, or did you just go up against the regular roster?
Yeah, the roster change news came pretty unexpectedly for us, but you know, it's just one position that's changing, and overall, like, the team play should remain the same, so it didn't really have a huge effect into how we were preparing.
So you already played DArdoch 2 times. How was the 3rd time?
Yeah, we played him. We played him just last week, actually, when he was still on CLG. So we were kind of joking, like, "Oh God, he's coming to get us this week again, and he's going to come to get us next week too if we lose this time." But yeah, I mean, so far it's gone pretty well.
So tell me, you went ahead and picked the Lucian, or you picked the Cassiopeia into Lucian in the Game 1 matchup against GoldenGlue. Talk to me a little bit about that champion matchup.
It's like kind of an extremely hard counter matchup, so I was able to push him around a lot. He ended up living a few times with really low HP, which was regrettable, but overall I think I played the matchup well. Yeah, I mean, there's just not much Lucian can do because Lucian's range is short compared to most AD carries, and that's pretty much within Cassiopeia's QWE range, and if you're in range of Cassiopeia, then there's no champion that can really deal with you, so I feel like they kind of were unaware that the matchup is so difficult, or... Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the only way they would have blind picked Lucian with Cassio up.
In that game, specifically, Piglet was able to pop off, get a little bit ahead. Was there any worry about what you guys were going to do?
Well, because their damage dealers were just 2 tanks that couldn't dive that deeply to reach Tristana, who has an escape, and their 2 carries were short range in Lucian and Kalista. We knew that Cody would eventually catch up and just be late game Tristana, outrange them really hard, and then have Lourlo with Ardent Sensor to buff him, and then just be able to kite them really hard. So even though we fell a little far behind, it turned out okay in late game.
And this whole season has been okay for you. Talk to me a little bit here about the fact that you guys are in first place again, and you are the last member on your team to be a part of those 17-1 seasons, regular seasons. What makes this team different than the seasons in the past?
Well, compared to Immortals from last year was we were really good at getting leads just through early game and then kind of bulldozing the game. But this time we're still pretty good at getting leads early game, but there's like a lot more strategy behind that just overall as a team. Like if I compare the kind of strategies and like tactics that we use now compared to what we did last year, there's a really big difference.
So that was a lot about the team back then. How about you as a player now from back then?
I've just been doing the same old thing, practicing hard in scrims and solo queue, trying my best to improve, and recently I've been having pretty good performances, so I'm happy about that. But also, just overall, when the team is doing so well, it's really easy for me to shine, so I'm really thankful that we're doing well.
Well, you definitely did great today. Congratulations, Pobelter, on a job well done. For more on this game, let's send it over to Dash and Mark.
Thank you very much, Dagon. Immortals coming away with the 2-0 victory. Again, didn't come as easily as maybe some would have expected coming into the evening, but they get their job done, put another W in that column, and remain solidly in first place. I love that question there and kind of the, you know, the way that Pobelter is working through it in terms of what's the difference between the 2016 Immortals that went 17-1 and then failed to qualify for Worlds or really show up at all in playoffs versus now. They remain in that first place position. They're going to enter the postseason in a similar rank, but will they succeed this time? What do you think is the difference between 2016 Immortals and this iteration?
I think you heard it pretty well there when he said the strategies were not that complex back then, and they had a lot of star power, honestly. Between Huni and Reignover, you could kind of reliably snowball topside, which is what they tended to key off of, and then Pobelter would follow up on that if he needed to, and the bot lane was largely independent, where Adrian's just helping Turtle get through laning phase fine, and they're great in team fights, and then he said snowballing off of that. And you know, they don't have as much star power this time around. I think you see them struggling a little bit more in the regular season.
It's showcased in game 1 of this series, right? The fact that they went down in gold and had to mount a comeback against one of the lower tier teams probably wouldn't have happened a year ago. but they were able to do it with this roster.
Right, and that's the thing is now they're not snowballing off just two people having great synergy or individual star power. It's Xmithie's going to get someone ahead, and that person's going to have to work with this other guy, and they're going to move around the map and do this stuff. And so I would say it's less dominating, and I would not call it as impressive yet, but they are working more as a unit than we would have seen a little bit last year, where they were a lot of times picking pretty greedily.
Let's jump on to the Rift. 11 minutes in, we got a 2-for-1 in the bot lane here in favor of Immortals. Again, this skirmish-heavy kind of a situation. Immortals plays it correctly, and they'll come out with a slight advantage.
And this is one of the reasons that we were talking about, just Olleh having a playmaker back in his hands. Ults to save the turret, looks a little questionable, still gets out of there, and now it kind of puts Team Liquid in a weird spot where Matt has to like start running through a turret that's still up when it should be down. People start getting pinned up, having to kite through the jungle as opposed to just back through the lane. That allows Pobelter to get in range, to get an ult onto Matt. All this stuff just works super well together to kind of set up Pobelter to start going off, who ends up picking up player of the game after a second great performance in a row.
Right, we say they don't have star power, but, you know, in a similar question to, you know, to what Zirene was saying, Immortals has been #1 this entire split. When are we ready to call them, you know, a rockstar team? When are we ready to call Pobelter a rockstar mid laner? Maybe he's not Bjergsen or Jensen in terms of the crazy laning stats and some of the flashy plays, but the guy performs consistently well, and if they're gonna find wins off of his back in 2 games in a single day, you've got to start looking at him as being able to say, like, maybe this guy's a star.
It's been a bit of a tough year, or a little bit, for Pobelter, just because when he was on CLG, he looked great. He was arguably top 3, you know, like you were saying, between Jensen and Bjergsen.
Yep.
Same kind of story on Immortals. Looks super good off the back of the fact that, like we were saying, it's a very strong, individually talented team, and people tend to look better with stronger teammates.
That's a good point.
And then one of the first times that he's in a primary carry role, you know, this is the guy who's going to get you a lot of wins, which was last split in spring. The team struggled super, super hard.
Okay.
And we've heard, you know, as time has gone on, that DArdoch and him had synergy issues. You could see that they did not play well together, and jungle mid is super important.
Right.
And so I think that really hurt his credibility after being kind of the second or third fiddle in a couple of these other teams. Now, while he's not, I would say, like the first option, he does have great synergy with Xmithie again, and once again, we see him shining.
And there you go. That's what his reasoning was for why this Immortals team is different. Again, the way that they work together. It's not about any individual. It's about the 5 of them as a unit. I want to push us forward to 25 minutes into the game. This is just a 1-for-0 in favor of Immortals.
But this is where they managed to blow the game open. Once again, off Olleh's great engage, just holding people in this choke point and forcing TL to have to fight, buys enough time for Xmithie to get in range. His ultimate's going to keep Lourlo kind of locked down. Eventually, they spike him super hard with the Syndra W and the Feast from Cho'Gath. After that, they run to Baron, and that's kind of where you see that gold graph start taking off. Even though it was a 1-for-0,
right,
it was off the back, once again, of Olleh's great play. And I think this just highlights why that champ select in game 1 was such a sticking point for us.
Right, get a fight, get the Baron, take a fight near the enemy's base, and then if you win it, you can push the close off of that. That's what we saw happen, which is partly why it was such a quick game. All right, Immortals, you had a struggling 2-0 against Team Liquid. What's your prospects for this team moving forward? Do you feel like they're the first place team?
It's still always that little nagging doubt, just because there's so much history with other teams where it's hard to write off a team like TSM and say they're not the best team just because, you know, they dominate Rift Rivals, they come back onto a new patch, and they don't look that good. It's very different, and they're
right,
slow to adapt, and it does kind of feel like you're in the situation where...
Yeah, I feel like I've been here before.
Yeah, you just can't say TSM's the best team because they're not showing it right now, but you also can't say they're not because they just have such a record of dominance.
All righty, well, let's wrap up the day by checking out the standings. Immortals, they do maintain their spot in first place at 12-3, while Echo Fox end the day alone in 7th with their victory. Team Liquid dropped to 9th and are eliminated from playoff contention officially. We'll see what other postseason fates will be decided in our matches tomorrow. On NA LCS 1, coverage kicks off with FlyQuest versus TSM. Then Team Dignitas get their chance at taking down Immortals in the Battle Arena. That's a big one. Over on NA LCS 2, Team Envy face Counterlogic Gaming in the Battle Theater, followed by Team Liquid versus Cloud9 later in the day. Talk to me about one of these matchups, Mark.
Well, I think everyone's expecting Dignitas Envy, so I'll say Team Envy Counterlogic Gaming. I think we were talking a little bit earlier in the day about how Envy has been struggling a little bit, and they have a really tough road ahead of them. This is potentially a good opportunity to snag a win off a playoff team, given the fact that Omar God is now the new starter. Lyra is your strongest player. Your bot lane matches up relatively well. Darshan probably has a good lead over Sarah from the top lane, but Niski can hold on 1v1 versus Huhi. So if Lyra can turn enough advantages for the rest of the team, I actually think they can take this victory.
And within that, I think I'm putting a spotlight on Champion Select. Again, because where's Lyra going to go? We've seen him bring the Graves back out, looking to be more of a damage threat, but we're in the League of Tanks, so should he be trending more towards a Sejuani or a Gragas? You know, that I'm so curious as to that, whereas I do feel like it's relatively expected that Omar God will be put onto some kind of a frontlining tank and just be that supportive member that CLG needs him to be.
That said, I mean, he is a little bit of like that Reignover type, I think, when we talk about Omar God, where he's more known for like the Olaf and the aggressive tanks versus something that's more like a Cho'Gath, which is happy to farm up and play more of a control style.
Right.
We'll have to see exactly how it works out, though, because he is still relatively new to the LCS and even his own team environment.
Less than 24 hours till we find out. That's going to do it for us today, though. For myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more North American LCS. Good night.